I've always found Ed Husick a very common sense Australian in reaching out to this growing Muslim bloc in the parliament. What would you say to them, Pauline?
Don't forget where you are. Don't forget our values and the country that you have come to, you fled to. Her father fled here for a better way of life and brought his family. Don't turn your back on the culture or who we are as a people, as a nation, and never forget where you come from, why you fled that nation, and to ensure that this country never turns into the place that you fled. Good
on you. Brilliant stuff, brilliant stuff, brilliant stuff. On unemployment, you've said that those sitting on the dole should get a job. May not the problem be, Pauline, that we spend over $140 billion, B for billion, dollars a year on education, and yet many of these people are unemployable? So if they get off their backsides, how do we know that they're actually capable of being productive?
You were terribly right with that. Our educational standards are below. The 15-year-olds in Australia, actually 50%, less than 50%, can't even reach the basic standards for maths and science in our school system. We're 2 years behind. Those 15-year-olds are 2 years behind countries such as China and Singapore in our educational levels. We've allowed people through to become teachers who are well below the standards themselves.
Absolutely.
And this is the problem that we have, and the governments have allowed it. We actually need to address our educational standards in Australia. These people are unemployable by all means, and they've made themselves unemployable because we're going in the fourth generation, people on the dole. They see their parents not working, they see it as a way of life. I've put this to the previous government. We should be only paying welfare to those people on an average of, say, 2 out of 5 years. You have to work 3 of those years. You can, if you can't find a job 2 of those years, well then, then we'll support you with the dole. It is not a way of life. We've got to get tough. We've got to show that we're fair income about this, and you cannot keep draining the coffers, paying out welfare to these people that just consider it as a way of life for themselves for the rest of their life.
Yeah, to our viewers out there, you see, this is Pauline Hanson. How on earth is what she said controversial? How can that possibly be controversial? You can't drain the coffers paying out welfare to people who want to make welfare their way of life. Pauline, there's a critical skills shortage. The Labor government is thinking of bringing in 200,000 skilled migrants up from the Coalition's 160,000. What are your views on that?
You can't, because, Alan, I've always said, if you bring more people into the country, it's a drain on our infrastructure, roads, hospitals, schools, nursing homes, just everything, even our housing. Australians can't find housing themselves, let alone bringing more people into the country. There has to be a balance. And I know businesses are screening out for skilled migrants. I've known for years. That's why I pushed with the government to introduce the apprenticeship scheme, which they took my lead after I had to take them screaming and kicking to start up an apprenticeship scheme. That was in 2018. Since then, they've put in over 100,000 apprentices supported by the government paying, part of the wage for it. Until we open up more TAFE colleges, agricultural colleges, training centres for the youth, get them off the dole.
And get them away from universities.
Rather than dole paying them, pay them to actually do an apprenticeship.
Yeah.